What's different in your approach to your
I think
predecessors?
what the Prime Minister said was pretty much what I've just said to you, that it's a very unstable, uncertain, dangerous world. We've got a range of, obviously this huge conflict of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. We've got the situation in the Middle East. We've got a range of other dangers and difficulties almost everywhere you look. And I think he said, opportunity for someone who's served as Prime Minister to come back and help with these things, that you bring a certain amount, hopefully, of sort of knowledge and contacts and abilities to this role. And so you'll be able to help, have what he wants to be the strongest possible government. I would pay huge tribute to my predecessor, James Cleverly, everywhere I've already visited, I think about 15 countries. Everywhere I go, he is praised for his diplomatic skills, for the hard work and energy he brought to the role. And it's great to be working with him as Home Secretary, because actually one of the priorities, I've got the 5 priorities I've set out for the department, one of them is very much about Britain's security and working with him on issues of immigration. I think too much in the past, and I blame my own government for this, the Foreign Office is going in one direction and the Home Office is going in another, and really trying to get them to work together on things like stopping migration upstream and helping stabilise countries and using all the tools you've got in the toolbox.
Forgive me, you won't be interested in a new slogan under your tenure?
I haven't come up with one yet, but maybe you could help me out. No, I mean, I've set out for the department priorities basically saying, number 1 is supporting Ukraine, number 2 is more stable Middle East, 3 is enhancing UK security, 4 is international development and the critical global challenges like the multilateral development banks, and maybe we can talk about that, and 5th is prosperity and jobs. I mean, obviously, trade isn't in the Foreign Office in the way that it used to be, but I want to help the Department of Trade deliver these important trade deals. I want to help colleagues to get inward investment into the UK and all the rest of it. So that's the focus. It's very straightforward and down to earth.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Foreign Secretary, it's interesting that you were as shocked as we were to become Foreign Secretary, but welcome. When you were Prime Minister, you created the commitment to 0.7% of GDP for overseas development aid, and you also vocally opposed the FCDO-DFID merger, or the FCO-DFID merger. What's your position now?
I didn't create the commitment, I delivered the commitment. It was a commitment that actually every country in the G8 made, I think at Gleneagles, when Tony Blair was Prime Minister, and I was very proud to be the first of those G8 countries to achieve 0.7. Which we did, I think, in 2013. And I supported and backed DFID with, I think, a really excellent development minister, Andrew Mitchell, who I'm now working with once again. Look, and I said at the time I was disappointed when we went away from 0.7 and also about the merger, but I said to the Prime Minister when he asked me to do this job that I would accept fully cabinet collective responsibility, and I will work with what we have now and try to make sure we have the best possible joined-up policy of diplomacy and aid, and try and make sure we make the very most of the 0.5% that we have. Politics is a team enterprise. You can't always get everything you want. You have to work out whether you can accept the situation and whether you can accept that cabinet collective responsibility. I can. I'll defend what we're doing now to make the FCDO work effectively, and I'll defend the fact that at 0.5% it's not as much as it was, but we're still an aid superpower. We've got this excellent development white paper, and we must use that to fulfill our moral mission in the world, but also to make sure our aid policy works for our insecurity and prosperity.
Will you be pushing to go back to 0.7% as quickly as possible?
Obviously, the conversations I have with cabinet colleagues are private, and that's part of the team enterprise.
I'm not sure they're that private.
Anything you want to change about how the FCDO operates at the moment?
I think that something that happened just before I got there I want it to bed in, see how it's working, which is Andrew Mitchell was appointed Development Minister. I think it was an excellent move. I was worried before that while I could see a case for how the merger would work, I was a bit worried before that there were too many international gatherings on, for instance, Global Alliance on vaccines or Global Fund on AIDS and malaria and the rest of it, where I was worried Britain wasn't fully represented every time. And I think having a dedicated development minister in the cabinet, I think that's really helped. And something we've done inside the department, which Sir Philip I want to talk about, which is having 2 permanent secretaries, one for foreign and diplomatic affairs and Commonwealth affairs, one specifically for development. I think that's helped, and making sure that some of the key directorates within the Foreign Office report to that second permanent secretary and are working very specifically with Minister Mitchell. I think we're making the merger work better than it was. So I'd like that to take a bit of time, see how that's bedding down, see how that's working, and try and make the most of it that way.
I think from our perspective, it would be very welcome to see some political will behind the merger. That's been our biggest criticism.
Say again?
To see the political will to make the merger work,
Yes.
and not just leaving it to civil servants from our perspective.
No, definitely. I think, yes, we're trying to make it work. It's not going back to what happened under Margaret Thatcher when there was ODA was a separate department within the Foreign Office. It's not that. It's trying to make a merged entity work, but with this slight distinction. But look, it's quite nice being Foreign Secretary, having a £12 billion pound budget. I didn't used to have that when he was Foreign Secretary. But anyway, let's try and make it work. But I'm happy to keep you up to date with how we think it's going.